So thank you so much for taking the time out to join us I was going to say this morning, it's this afternoon, in what has been a very busy last few months for us at the Lord Mayor's Appeal. So this is the first of a webinar series of events that we're running for partners and our wider partnership community this year, which I'll go on to talk slightly more about later. So it's fantastic to have had an opportunity already this calendar year to catch up with so many of our partners, and through the new mayoral year to have touched base with even more of you. So fantastic that you could join us today and give us your time. So really appreciate that. Before we get into the meaty stuff, just wanted to give you a few housekeeping bits and pieces. So we are recording the webinar today. We're going to be sharing a lot of updates and new information, which is really relevant to your partnership and our relationship with you all. So don't feel like you need to digest everything right now. We'll share the recording and we'll also share the slide deck with you. I'm going to be walking through the slides and sharing all of our exciting updates and our messaging and bits and pieces that are coming up in the next few months. But we do have quite a few of the Lord Mayor's Appeal team in the background also. So please do go ahead and use the chat function or the Q&A, whichever you prefer. We may not get to everybody's questions during the webinar today, so we will digest those and come back to you individually. And of course, you've got all of our contact details, which are also at the end of the slides. So do feel free to reach out to us if there's anything you want to find out more about, or if you've got some feedback. We're really interested to hear from our partner community around this vision, our strategy. So many of you were involved in last year's strategy focus groups, which seem so long ago, but they were actually just at the beginning of the summer. And just yesterday, we hosted a breakfast for the senior leadership team across our partnership community, and had some really engaging conversations and some fantastic feedback from them. So we very much see our strategy piece as an evolution. So what we're sharing with you now, I would say is, I was going to say it's the the 0.01 version, but we're probably on about version 3 or 4 of what this iteration looks like. But our anticipation is, as we move through the next few years, this strategy and the partnership opportunity pipeline will just keep growing. So really interested, like I said, to hear your feedback and your thoughts on that. And just with that in mind as well, I mentioned we've had quite a few catch-ups with our partners already this year. But if you haven't had an opportunity to meet with either Ali, myself, or the both of us, please do let us know when would be convenient to pop along and see you, or to jump on a call, because we, like I said, we're really keen to hear your feedback after we've shared what is going to be an exciting next few years at the Appeal, we hope. Very much aware that, as well as having some kind of long-standing partner friends on the webinar today, we've got some new faces as well through those partner organisations. So just going to kick off with a bit of context of who the Appeal are and what we've been doing over the last few years. So as most of you are aware, the Lord Mayor is the international ambassador for the UK's financial and professional services sector. We currently have the 3rd ever female Lord Mayor and the first female Lord Mayor to ever fashion herself as Lady Mayor. So we are currently working alongside and under Lady Mayor Dame Susan Langley, DBE, who's an alderman of the city also, who's got really strong connections from birth into London and the city. So grew up in the East End and has worked in the city for her entire working career. So in terms of what that means for us at the Appeal, as many of you know, our strategy and our work doesn't change with the mayoralty, which is only last 12 months, which is a blessed relief, I think, for our team. But very much the focus and anticipation carries on from mayoralty to mayoralty. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we move through the slides. So in terms of us at the Lord Mayor's Appeal, we're really kind of the fundraising and charitable heart of the mayoralty. And like I said, that continues year on year through the changes of whoever's holding the position of Lord or Lady Mayor. But we're in such a fortunate position because we're able to harness their influence and their networks and really convene the power of the city. And when we ran those focus groups back in the summer, one of the kind of consistent messages that came out across the different cohorts of individuals that fed into that was that our convening power is really one of our USPs. So as we move through and we share some more about our new messaging and our objectives and our vision for the next few years, you'll really see that we're anticipating harnessing that power to deliver on our aims and our goals. So we've been around since 2012 in our current guise. We've raised over 10 million in those 13 now years for our charity partners, and many of you will have been along that journey with us and will be really familiar with some of those charity partners that we've been able to support and the impact that our fundraising and your support has had on their end users. And across that time as well, we've engaged with over 500,000 employees across over 2,500 businesses in the city. So we really, like I said, see our convening power and our network as the key to supporting us in what we've delivered historically and what we're hoping to achieve in the next few years. So in terms of what the next few years look like, we're still very much working to our overarching mission of a better city for all, but we really want to champion a city that cares. And we want to use our platform to bring city leaders, charities and philanthropists together to make sure that we're supporting the Londoners who need it the most. So we've got quite an ambitious target over those 3 years to ensure that we raise enough funds to unlock potential and aspirations for positive futures for more than 15,000 Londoners. And the way that we're going to be doing that is supporting those charities and delivery partners through convening our network, leaning into the city leaders that we work closely with, the businesses, so our partners and our wider kind of community, as well as really harnessing the impact and the power of livery companies and the whole aldermanic community in the city, to really look at a joined up approach in how we can work together to achieve that. So we'll be working really closely with schools and different charities and delivery partners, which I'll come on to a lot more in a few slides' time. So the idea is that we really focus on 3 areas that will support those 15,000 Londoners, looking to unlock their potential and aspirations, looking at what personal barriers exist for those different demographics and how we can support them to overcome them, and ultimately give them exposure to opportunities to get into city careers. So what does that mean in practice? So under a city that cares and a better city for all, we've got those 3 headings that I just mentioned. So in terms of overcoming barriers, we'll really be looking at individual challenges that all of the different demographics of our communities may face in terms of accessing employment, whether that's in the square mile or in the wider city itself. So we'll be doing that working with charities. So many of you will be familiar with the charity that we are currently working with. We're in our 3rd year now with Homewards. So they're looking at addressing different challenges such as homelessness, mental health and poverty. And we'll really be leaning into the companies that we work with and that bigger community that I mentioned to help share the expertise that they've had in-house historically through individuals, through programs that they've run, etc., supporting us with resources and ultimately also supporting us in that funding journey also. And then unlocking potential and aspiration, we're really looking to develop insight so we can support individuals to upskill so that they feel in a place that they're confident with their skill set and their experience to take their next steps into different workplaces and careers. So again, that's really going to be working with local charities. A couple are named on there, which I'll go into more detail through in a short while. And again, in terms of companies, what that looks like for our partners and our wider company community is really looking at developing the career insights opportunities they have and how they can support our different demographics of individuals to upskill, and that may be programs that are already in existence within our partnership or connections you've already got with delivery partners that we can work alongside to amplify the work they're doing. And really the purpose isn't to recreate recreate the wheel. It's very much about looking at what's out there and using our platform to bring people together, and to work more effectively to support those different individuals that we're looking to target, those 15,000 Londoners. And ultimately, so creating career opportunities, which is probably something that we're going to ask for loads of feedback and kind of insight into, is those pathways into careers in the city. So again, working with local schools, charities and different groups, and employers to identify the different talent pipelines, because we know we've got a huge amount of untapped talent on our doorstep. Many people who are just outside the perimeter of the city or the square mile, and just don't see how they can get into those careers. So we'll very much be kind of evolving that over the next few months, and leaning into a lot of the different kind of cohorts that we already work with loads of opportunities to expand the partnership kind of offer and bring you all on that journey with us. So that sounds like we're doing a lot of very different things, which is exciting for us, but we're also very aware that we've got 4 fantastic programs that have been running historically. So what does that mean in terms of the programs that, as our corporate partners and our partnership community, you're already involved with, and you've been supporting for a really long time? Well, it just means that we're having to look at how we can leverage the power of those 4 programs to support our new vision and our new ambitions. So in terms of We Can Be, you can probably see a lot of connection to that mission, to unlocking potential and kind of inviting people into the city to consider the city as a place for their careers and their future. So very much we will be continuing to run We Can Be. Many of you on the call are gearing up to host a group of young women in the next couple of weeks. I think what we 2 weeks out now. I know Carla's on the call. She's probably really excited that I mentioned we're only 2 weeks away. So very much we'll be continuing with We Can Be. So for those of you who aren't as familiar with our programs, We Can Be is a program that brings different groups of young women from lower socioeconomic backgrounds primarily into the corporate space. So our partner organisations host those young people for the morning, give them an insight into different careers within their industry sector, and expose them to as many different roles within their organization as possible during that time, do some skills building. It's a really amazing opportunity for those young people who wouldn't necessarily have that opportunity otherwise, to really understand what goes on behind closed doors in a corporate setting. And then in the afternoon, we bring all of those young people and all of the host businesses together for a huge kind of interactive session at Guildhall, where there are investment simulation games. We hear from keynote speakers, and we really lean into real models. So those are young, tend to be younger people in their careers who've maybe not had that straight line straight into their to their career, maybe had a bit of a wiggly line, didn't necessarily have that trajectory from schools to university, and really show them that there's loads of different ways to tap and access the city, whether that be kind of work experience, apprenticeships, all kinds of things. And the anticipation, not just with We Can Be, but with our programs in general, is that in addition to how we've run those programs over the last few years, we'll expand the offer so that there are more opportunities for partners to support, and that we can work really closely with other delivery partners as well, to mean that the programs have got a much far further reaching impact, and we're able to offer more of a year-round program. So for We Can Be, for example, historically we've had one headline day every year, which we anticipate will still carry on. But for some of you, you'll be aware that we've been running a twinning project over the last year or so. So some of the partners who have hosted We Can Be school groups have a year-round relationship with those schools now, which gives obviously a huge amount of scope to support in a lot of different ways, whether that be going in and doing kind of talks through for careers days, mentoring, all kinds of things. So in terms of the programs, we're very much kind of still in the evolution stage about what they look like, but we're really excited over the next few months to be able to share how those are going to expand out, what that means to our new vision, and how we can offer more opportunities for you to support those. So in terms of Power of Inclusion, as most of you know, that's a series that for the last few years has very much been around the conversation to do with social mobility in the city, working with partners and businesses across the square mile and beyond in terms of what they are doing to address like social barriers to entering their workforce, to staying in their workforce. And we've run that through a series of workshops and webinars. We've had a huge amount of resources that we've been able to share. And we're fortunate enough within our community to have a few organisations who are leading in this space, who are really kind of generously give their time and their expertise. So it's really about convening different businesses so that they don't feel like they're working in silos, sharing best practice, and addressing the challenges that we know are we're facing in the city to make sure that we've got a really inclusive workforce. And again, this aligns really well with kind of the idea that we're going to be supporting people to overcome barriers. Social mobility is obviously only one of the barriers that we'll be looking at moving forwards, but we're very much anticipating that the inclusion piece kind of underpins a lot of the work that we're doing moving forwards. And then on to our other two programs that, again, you're probably really familiar with and have participated in the past few years. And This Is Me is our workplace wellbeing program. So similarly to Power of Inclusion, that's been delivered through workshops and webinars, and really focusing on some of the pressing issues that we know are prevalent in city organisations in terms of making sure that everybody is supported from a wellbeing perspective in the workplace. And again, we anticipate that This Is Me will continue to do just that in terms of supporting the workplace and your existing employees. But we're probably going to be thinking also about that demographic of individuals that we're aiming to reach, those 15,000 Londoners. How can we expand our This Is Me programme? How can we lean into the support and the audience that we've had within the This Is Me programme over the last few years to think about supporting that demographic also? So maybe people that are coming into the city, that's starting their careers, and that kind of next level down, so the future career pipeline, and supporting people to overcome barriers that might be to do with their mental health, to give them that opportunity to unlock their potential and find a career in the city. And then City Giving Day, which is probably our most visible programme, that even if you're very new to the Lord Mayor's appeal and the work that we do, you may well be familiar with, is expanding and pivoting to offer a lot more kind of year-round engagement than it has done historically. So you'll probably be aware that City Giving Day has run historically every September, and it's an amazing platform to give businesses an opportunity to showcase the great social impact work they do, and convene their employees to think about all the volunteering and the positive impact philanthropically they've had over the last year or so. And we're very much anticipating that we'll carry on with that, because it has huge momentum, and it's a really fantastic way for us to demonstrate to people outside of the square mile that the square mile does care. So very much leaning into that, a city that cares angle of our new messaging and the way that we're working. So we continue to deliver City Giving Day probably in September. It's definitely in September this year. But we're also going to be looking at expanding out that year-round offer. So what that may well look like is opportunities throughout the year for people to come together from more of a philanthropic learning angle. So again, we've got fantastic people within our wider organisation, within our wider community, that have got some real insight and expertise into kind of the barriers that employees might face in accessing their kind of paid volunteering days, for example. We're going to be thinking about how we can use our platform again to bring more and more people on that journey and really promote a city that cares. So we're really excited about growing and expanding the programs. And again, this is something that, as partners of the appeal over the last few years, you've got some real insight into what those programs look like for you and your colleagues and your wider organisation. So we'll really value your feedback when it comes to which gaps you can see that we haven't addressed in the past, how we can use those platforms and those programs to really engage more people, and ultimately how they can feed into our new and quite ambitious objectives over the next couple of years. So really excitingly for me as Corporate Partners Manager and the wider team, this year we're running a series of exclusive events for our partners. We actually had our first of those yesterday. The second one is today. So yesterday we had the first of our hosted breakfasts at Mansion House. So the Lady Mayor and our incoming Lord Mayors over the next couple of years are really keen to make sure that they're giving us the opportunity to leverage their platform, and they get to know our partners kind of in a much more closer proximity than maybe we've been able to offer in the past. So yesterday, the Lady Mayor opened up her private dining room to a group of our senior leaders within our current partnership community, and we actually shared these slides with them. Round table over some bacon baps, which went down really well. The Lady Mayor actually had to last minute fly to China the day before, so she wasn't able to actually be there. However, we had Tim Hales, who's an incoming Lord Mayor, join us, Alderman Tim Hales, and the Lady Mayor's consort, her husband, Gary Langley. So we had a roundtable conversation. We shared this information and we got some really, really fantastic, insightful kind of feedback. Those senior leaders were able to highlight some barriers that they perceived in us rolling out these new objectives. And as I said, this is a very much an evolutionary strategy and messaging. So it's really important that we're able to capture those voices of the people that have supported us in the past and anticipate supporting us going forwards. So that was the first yesterday. We've got another 4 in the calendar at the moment, with a 5th one that we're just waiting for some dates on. But the anticipation is that we are quite specific about the topics and the themes of those. As you can imagine, being hosted in the private dining room is quite a small space. So those breakfasts are going to be invitation only, and we'll share in our quarterly newsletters what the themes are going to be for those. So you can see on the screen there that some of them have already got quite a specific theme that we know we're going to be delivering to. The Lady Mayor, as you may know, is very much kind of championing her position to support the conversations around unsquaring the square mile, which again is quite an evolutionary phrase. So from conversations we've been privy to, that really means breaking down some of those historical barriers that have either existed or have been perceived to be existing in the city. She's really keen to have that May breakfast all around the power of female leadership in the city, which obviously she's really closely aligned to as one of the female leaders. And in terms of that theme, we've been asked on numerous occasions what the unsquaring the square mile means. And I'm yet to have anything in writing, but as we move through this mayoralty and we understand more about what the Lady Mayor means by that and how we can leverage that, we will definitely be sharing that. So this is the first of our series of lunch and learns. We wanted to make sure that we were able to share this new messaging with partners before it goes out to the wider community and is out there in the ether. And a few of you, as I mentioned at the start, have had some conversations with us during meetings. So we've been sharing our new messaging and our new objectives for the last few weeks now, but we wanted to have an opportunity to really get as many people involved in the conversation as possible at this early stage, which is why we're here today. We are also running a lunch and learn in March, which we're going to be speaking about volunteering opportunities with. So many of you historically have been involved with our charity partner organisations over the last few years, and occasionally there's volunteering opportunities we've been able to secure for you and your colleagues with those. But we're moving to quite a strategic model in terms of what those volunteering opportunities could look like, and I'm going to come on to talk about our existing charity partners in a minute, so that will lean into that slightly. But really excitingly as well, over the last 6 months or so, we've been able to identify volunteering opportunities directly with us at the Lord Mayor's Appeal. So many of you are familiar with our team. We're not a very big team, and we've got, as you've seen, quite an ambitious delivery plan for the next few months. And we haven't even touched on fundraising yet, which I'll come on to. So there's going to be opportunities moving forwards for colleagues to support us in terms of making sure that what we're able to deliver is successful. So that might look like, historically, last year we had a couple of opportunities for people to come and volunteer at some of our gala dinner fundraisers. We've got a whole suite of different fundraisers this year because the Lady Mayor is very keen to tap into as many different audiences as possible during her tenure. And also, there's a lot of you who are involved already with our programme delivery and volunteering there, even though you may not identify it as volunteering. So in the next couple of weeks, there's a lot of our partner organisations, like individuals in our partner organisations are going to be supporting our We Can Be programme, whether that is supporting the young people in your office on the day or coming to that afternoon session to act as facilitators. As you know, probably, if you've been with us for some time, there are a lot of opportunities in terms of hosting and speaking at our programme events, and all of those will make sure we communicate to you as soon as we know dates and what that looks like, because we want to make sure that we're giving our partners opportunity to take advantage of all of those things before we go out to kind of the wider community that we work with. And thirdly, based on a lot of the feedback from the focus groups that we ran in the summer that I've mentioned a couple of times, one of the asks was, or one of the areas that was identified by some of our partners as missing, was an opportunity for our partner organisations to know each other outside of the settings which they might meet each other through us at the moment. So historically, that would have been if partners happen to be at the same programmatic event or met each other at one of our fundraisers. So we've taken the opportunity to lock in some dates for some purely social events. So we're going to have 2 socials, one in the spring and one in the summer. And the idea is really just to give our partners an opportunity to meet each other because, and again, going back to that convening the power, there's so much power in the community that we have, and giving an opportunity to those individuals within our partners to come together and get to know each other a bit more, and share their kind of experience and their ideas, and hopefully kind of establish some really strong relationships going forwards. We think it's going to be really valuable, and it's going to be fantastic for us as well. So obviously Ali and I know you all as our partners pretty well, but we've got a team that work really closely with us to deliver everything that I've just mentioned, that probably don't get as much opportunity to know you as individuals and organisations. And also at those socials, we'd love it if our partners who are attending that would think about people within their wider networks in the city who maybe don't work with us at the Appeal yet, and bring them along so that we can meet them and they can understand a little bit more about what we're about. But like I said, the anticipation is they are kind of informal and sociable, and it's really an opportunity. It won't be a slideshow. I won't be talking about everything that we do, but it's just an opportunity for us all to get together and have some outside of business conversation, hopefully, as well. So our charity partners, I'm going to pause and take a drink because I've been speaking a lot. I mentioned at the start that a lot of you are probably familiar with Homewards, so we are in our 3rd and final year with Homewards. So for those of you who aren't familiar, Homewards is the Royal Foundation's programme which is working to end homelessness in the UK. They have 6 satellite hubs across the UK where they're working on blueprinting, convening. They're very much into convening as well, convening organisations that are working individually to end homelessness, to bring them together and really have that unified power to do that. One of the hubs is in Lambeth, so very, very much a London presence there. And we'll be working with them throughout this mayoralty also. And excitingly, we've brought on 2 new charity partners in the last couple of months. I can't believe it's only January, because when I say a couple of months, it feels like we've been working alongside, especially West Ham, for quite some time. So West Ham United Foundation joined us as one of our charity partners in November, just before the Impact reception. So any of you who were able to join us for the Impact reception would have heard from Joe Lyons, who's the CEO there. So the foundation has a community hub called the Foundry, and it's been very recently reopened. So they have repurposed a building that's right in the heart of Beckton, so very much kind of the beating heart of West Ham's footprint. And the whole idea of the Foundry is that it serves the needs of the community. So it isn't just about young people and supporting them in terms of kind of football and that side of things. It's very much about using the power of football and the Premier League to bring young people in. So really targeting those who are not in employment, education or training, and give them an opportunity to build skills for life and skills into employment. And through our funding, we are supporting one of the classrooms in the Foundry. So all of the programs that are being delivered through that classroom space are being supported by our funding with your help, obviously. And it's not just about young people. The community hub there is a hugely multi-purpose space. So on the weekends, it is open as a homelessness shelter. They run different education programs for the whole community. So whether that's kind of young parents, it's a really fantastic story there. And we see our charity partners moving forward much more in the light of as delivery partners, because they're kind of end users and the communities that they're supporting are very much going to be aligned with our 15,000 people. And very recently, we have started a new partnership also with the Army Cadets Charitable Trust, who many of you might be familiar with. Cadets have been around for a very long time. So the Cadets program is all about building confidence and leadership skills through practical training for younger people. And historically, those programs have been delivered through schools, partly funded by the MOD and partly funded by the government, but also it relies on schools having the resources, whether that is staff or funding, to deliver those. So as you can imagine, only some schools are able to access that. So we very much see that the support that we're able to provide the Army Cadets will be to identify schools that can't access their programs due to resource crunches, and we'll really be targeting young people that don't have that opportunity otherwise. So again, you can probably see that through that partnership, we'll really be looking at kind of unlocking potential, supporting people to build skills that they can then take forwards into future careers. So back to partnerships. As you are probably aware, and you've probably taken advantage of, there's a load of different things that come along with being a partner of the Lord Mayor's Appeal. And we've got different levels which you're aware of. We're talking about kind of what we call those different levels. And to be honest, we call you all our partners. But for us internally, we've got kind of different categories that everybody sits in. And very much historically, the opportunities that we've been able to offer have been very, very heavily involved with the programs that you've wanted to engage in. So whether that be priority invitations to come along to some of those workshops and webinars, whether that be like speaking and hosting and supporting through that angle. So as I mentioned at the start, the Lady Mayor and incoming Lord Mayors are going to be really supporting us on this journey over the next few years. And you'll see on there that what that looks like in practicality is more access to them. So Lady Mayor yesterday started our breakfast series, so we couldn't do that without her support. And obviously throughout the next couple of years, what this looks like will also evolve. And again, really keen to get some feedback on how that lands with our partners. So we know for some of our partners, the program side of things is key to their partnership, and maybe for others, maybe for other larger partners who've got a lot of internal programs, it's not as much about giving their employees the opportunity to access those programs. It's more about showing or demonstrating the support for our overarching vision to create a better city for all. So we've had loads of conversations, like I said, with partners already this year. So kind of really starting to shape how this lands and understand that. But again, we're always really keen to understand feedback on this, and if the opportunities and the benefits that we are able to provide are landing well, and if you, more importantly, I think if you see gaps. So if you think that through your partnership with the Lord Mayor's Appeal, there's something that we could kind of pull together, or an opportunity that we'd be able to help support you with, and we're always super keen to hear that. So we'll be having lots of conversations around that in the next few months, I'm sure. So I mentioned, in terms of communication, we'll be sending out quarterly newsletters. You should have all received one beginning, it was December time, so an early mayoral year newsletter that gave you an insight into some of this, and more information also. But we also want to make sure that you always know what's going on in terms of our programme and fundraising. So there'll be updates on that. We do have a monthly general newsletter that goes out. If you're not receiving any of these things, do let us know, because we know through some of our partners that they've got super strict firewalls, and sometimes we get filtered to junk, and we'd hate for you to be missing out on those things. So if you feel that the things I'm talking about haven't landed in your inbox, please do let us know, and we'll work out a way to get that information to you. So we've got our events page on our website, which looks somewhat like this at the moment. And this is continually updated. So every time we have a new programmatic or fundraising event, and we're ready to share it, we'll pop that on here. So you can see we've got, coming up in the next few weeks, we've got a program. That's conveniently, we've got a program event for all 4 of our programs. And this year as well, we've got quite different events that the Lady Mayor is kind of front and centre of. So we've got the Lady Mayor's Pullman, which is a Pullman carriage experience. When you go onto the website, there's loads more information about all of these. We've got our second our first Lady Mayor's Cup, our second Lord Mayor's Appeal Cup, because last year we ran our inaugural Lord Mayor's Cup inter company competition over at Power League in Shoreditch. It was amazingly well received, and we had people signing up immediately thereafter, so we'll be running that again. And this year as well, we are doing something slightly different. As you can see, the Lady Mayor has this theme of doing something slightly different, and we'll be running the Lady Mayor's Ride Out. So for any budding bikers within your companies, they might be interested in that. So that is a bike ride that goes from St Paul's out into Essex for the day. There's going to be a few VIPs there. It's going to be a very exciting day. And I think with the Lady Mayor this year, she's, like I said, she's really keen to support us in promoting these fundraising opportunities for maybe different demographics. So as you might know, historically, we've done a lot of those kind of traditional gala dinners. Don't worry, they're still there. We've still got the Sheriff's Ball. We've got the Lady Mayor's Big Leaving Party, which, as you can see from the picture, is more of that traditional sit down. But there's going to be other opportunities for people to get involved in things that we might not have delivered so many times historically. And one of the things that's not on the website yet, in terms of the events page, is our abseil. So we will be abseiling again this year. It's going to be our 10th year of abseiling, so it's quite a noteworthy occasion, and that's going to be at the Lloyd's building this year. So some of you might remember, or even have descended Leadenhall building last year. This year we're going to be at Lloyd's. So really looking forward to that. And again, a great opportunity for us to be able to promote some different things in the city that maybe will land really well with colleagues, and maybe your community champions and that kind of thing. Oh my goodness, that was a lot of me talking. So hopefully you've had an opportunity to pop some questions in, you've been chatting in the background. That's the downside. When I'm sharing slides, I can't actually see what's going on, but I know you're in the capable hands of the rest of the team. So just as a reminder, there's some contact details here. So if you want to speak to any of the program managers directly about the work that they deliver, if you've got questions about those fundraising events that I mentioned, there's details on there. And hopefully you already have mine and Ali's contact details on speed dial. But do please continue to ask questions. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to see. No, I can't see any of those questions coming in. So what I will do after this is catch up with the rest of the team and just make sure that nobody was left with questions unanswered. you hopefully know me well enough. If you don't know me well enough, please reach out. I'd love to have a chat and talk more about what we've shared today. And if you haven't had partnership meetings with us in the last few weeks, or we don't have something scheduled, please let us know when we can come and have a chat with you, because as you can see, there's a lot of exciting developments that are going on, and we really want you guys to all be part of that journey with us. So I think I was over optimistic that I'd talk for an hour. I think I might have exhausted all of my words in the last 40 minutes or so. But just to say thank you again so much for joining us. Please do, when it lands, when the recording and the slides land in your inbox in the next day or so, please do share those with colleagues, because one of the things we know is that within our partner organizations, we've got some fantastic contact points, not just through partnerships and our day-to-day contacts, but through the program involvement and delivery. But there's so many people in your organizations that don't know that you're partners of the Lord Mayor's Appeal. So that's something we really want to work on sharing as well. And if you've got enough people in your organization that you think would be interested in jumping on kind of a session like this, just for your business, let us know, because we're always happy to share this information and kind of build out those relationships that we've got within our partners. So I think that's everything. So just thanks again for joining us. I'll give you almost 20 minutes back to hopefully have time to have a stretch and have something to eat. So yeah, thanks so much, and hope to see you all soon.